Quickly on Africa, I'm seeing a lot of flooding and droughts. Protests and riots I already covered in the other one, but I just want to let you know that there's a lot of drought and it seems to be spreading more and more in this area where it seems it's getting far more prolific, where it's hardly any rain. And on the other hand, we've got round about this region here, I'm seeing, I don't know if I'm right, I'm seeing a lot of flooding. So it's both on the counterbalance, which is really sad because it's quite desperate with certain tribes and the living situations there. I'm so sorry to see that. On Africa, I wouldn't say Africa itself, but the African continent, and I'm including what I'm covering in that African continent, which is this area too. We're going to see some big dust storms, and we're seeing it really around about this area here. That's going to be really quite devastating, dust storms here. And in Saudi Arabia too, high heat in there as well, exceeding all records by 2 to 3 degrees. But also there's going to be flooding round about this area here that I'm seeing, which is excessive flooding, which, if they don't get droughts, they get floods. But I'm afraid that's going to happen too in this area here in these countries. Morocco will be affected by, and not so much the tip here and the Western Sahara. All of this will be, there's some kind of hurricane that's coming through that's going to give him bad weather in that way, Sierra Leone, and all through there. And I'm just literally skimming on certain countries, okay? I don't think there was much interest, anybody watching it from the African continent. Okay, thank you. Hi, just 2 other areas I'm going to just touch on terrorism, and that's in the African states where it's not terrorism, but it's really, all of these countries are going through all kinds of upheavals, not every single country in Africa, but you will see there is upheaval there and protests, and even overtaking the governments, so just be careful of that one. I will quickly go to here, which is, I'm going to Cuba, and Cuba seems to be very much coming up, where they seem to be having more riots next year, as there are certain sects and groups which are promoting more independence away from the controls of the government. So we're seeing a kind of destabilization of their economy a bit. So be careful of that, but it really doesn't affect too much since they were more or less self-contained. Puerto Rico as well, I'm afraid, Nicaragua and Panama. So just thought I'd throw that in.